approaching this week, now that you're playing two unranked teams as opposed to two top 5 teams?
I think we're just going to approach it the same way we normally do, taking one game at a time because, I mean, regardless of the ranking, every single game is important, and our steps taken to postseason and just to us getting better. So,
how different is it, though, when you're going on the road somewhere and you're the ranked team and you're the team that everyone wants to be as opposed to maybe the other way around?
I mean, there's a little bit more pressure on us just because this isn't a game we theoretically should win. So, I mean, there's a little bit of pressure there, but, I mean, I think we're taking the proper steps to prepare for the game. So
last year you had a little bit of a hiccup at Washington State. How do you avoid, what's the biggest thing you need to focus on to avoid that this year?
I mean, last year they kind of crushed us on back screens, and I think we're a little bit more experienced this year. So I don't think that will be as big of an issue for us. So, I mean, we've been practicing that. We practiced that yesterday. We'll probably be practicing that today. So it's just important that we focus on the goals that we want to achieve. And, you know, like, we have to win the games to be able to get those goals. So we just have to work hard and be disciplined.
What was your biggest takeaway from the last weekend? You guys played really well against two of the top teams in the country. I mean, you obviously belong. So what was the takeaway, you know, in the losses?
It just shows that we can hang with, you know, number 2, number 3 at the time. So it's just important for us to be able to, you know, have the momentum at the end of the game where we're not struggling to find the points to be able to win. It's better when, you know, you're the team that has those 2 points and you're not, you know, trying to come up with a play to, you know, score and, you know, tie the game or win the game. So, I mean, that's just one of the things that, you know, we're a little bit inexperienced in that at this time. So that gave us experience to be able to, you know, fight and dig, you know, at the end of the game to find that little energy left to win games like that are so important. And like I said, it just shows that, you know, even though we're ranked higher than those teams, like, we still have the competitiveness, you know, the depth to be able to play with teams like that.
I know that you've lost close games before. Last year you had, you know, quite a few with these top teams. And you remember those. I know Dominique always talks about, we remember those games. Yeah. What does this weekend do for you think, for like the rest of the season now? Now you are a different team this year. You've improved so much. You're much better. You're still one of the top defenses in the country. How does this set up for, like, you know, UCLA comes back in here, Stanford comes back, then you go up to the Oregons. You know, you have a lot more basketball to play. So how does this help you?
I mean, just looking back at the games we have lost, it was just kind of like there was stuff that we weren't doing right. Like, Oregon zoned us the whole game, and like that kind of showed like one of our weaknesses is that we struggle offensively to score in that. So we've been working on that. We've been working on, you know, like I said, tight points at the end of the game. And so, I mean, just focusing on ourselves and be able to grow and develop better into a better team this weekend will help us do that. And I just think focusing on ourselves is what will help us to get better, because, I mean, you could scout another team, but if you can't work and, you know, finish the stuff that you need to do as a team, then you won't win. So, I mean, we're definitely working on ourselves and growing and developing, so that'll be important for this weekend.
How would you describe Ari's leadership style? Is she more like lead by example, or is she more of a vocal leader?
Last year I would say she was more of lead by example, but this year she's stepped more into the leader role. She communicates more effectively, and she still leads by, you know, her hard work and determination. And then along with her communicating is really helped us as a team. And I think she's a little bit of both.
Do you have an example of the vocal?
I mean, just like at the end of games, or even, you know, at the beginning, like, she communicates more effectively on like the plays we're doing, what we need to do as a team. And I mean, in breaks and timeouts, she communicates a lot, so it's helpful.
You guys are obviously known for your defense. How does she kind of set the tone in that aspect?
She's just super aggressive on defense, you know, like pressing up the floor, which is not always easy, especially when the games get kind of long, you know. So, I mean, she does that. She sets the pace of our defense, so that's really helpful for us to also be aggressive when she's being aggressive.
And I guess, I don't know if inspiring is the right word, but the fact that she scores so much, but yet she still puts in so much effort on defense. I mean, how does that, when you're behind her and in the front court, let's say, how does that make you feel?
I mean, it's good to know that, like, you know, she works so hard on both ends of the floor. And I think it just shows, you know, that I think it just helps, like, everyone else to work hard on defense as well as offense. So, I mean, she definitely is the spark of our transition defense when she picks up the ball. So it's really helpful to have someone with her type of determination and tenacity at the front of our court.
You've talked about how everybody has a role on this team, and you've really come together as a team. What does someone like Amari show you in since the Pac-12 has started? Her offense has picked up those reverse layups, that short mid-range jump shots that she has, and then, of course, her defense. I mean, she's got the smothering defense, she's getting the steals, she's doing a lot. What value do you see from Amari?
I mean, she's just a very consistent defensive player for us. She really helps us on the defensive end. And then, like you said, since Pac-12 conference has started, she's really helped on the offensive end as well, which is, you know, good to find someone else that can help to, you know, give us some points on the board. So, I mean, I never feel like I can completely trust Amari on defense just because of how consistent she is. And now she's getting more consistent on offense, which will be really important for us down the stretch of this conference.
We saw glimpses of that during the non-conference. Do you think it was just more of the more she gets used to playing with this team and having you and Ari and everybody else, that the more she's finding like she's letting her game come through?
Yeah, I think it's also that, and I think just because she's more open because of the fact that people are so worried about Ari and like other people on the team, so she's really gone into a role of looking for her shot more than just passing. So I think that really helps her.
She's also had some big buckets when you need it
Yeah.
in some of these games. I mean, in the one game, I think it was Friday night, she hit the shot to put you up 60, 59. And she did that at USC too. She gets you a couple of good buckets. Do you feel like now she's another one of the threats, another weapon that you have to go to when you really need it the most?
Yeah, I mean, there's been multiple times just in the conference play that she's hit like shots at the end of the shot clock, which I mean is definitely like kind of puts the other team down. It's momentum for us, but then like you don't feel as good when you're the defense playing for 30, 25 seconds, you know, and they hit a shot like at the last second. So, I mean, she's definitely helped us with that, with the momentum of the game. And I just hope that, you know, she can continue that and step more into a role of scoring on offense.
And on defense, I know that you always talk about big guards, and we've talked about this before. Do you actually look at how she plays a little bit because you're coming out more and you're defending in it like a guard? Are you picking things up from her?
I mean, when we do defensive and offensive break, it's mainly like post and guard separated. So, I mean, we just look kind of like at tendencies, I guess, guards would do, and then we just kind of try to fit that into our game. I mean, we don't necessarily want to be guards, but we want to be able to be effective outside of the key, outside of the lane, which is like what a normal post would do. So, I mean, we just want to be able to be guarded outside of, you know, the normal defense that you would guard on a post. So,
What's the biggest keys now that conference play has started that you've helped Samaje? Because she's getting a lot more minutes, obviously, than last year. And you can definitely tell a great improvement in her play. How have you helped in that?
I mean, just encouraging her, you know, like, it's not always going to be easy. You're not always going to do the right thing. But, you know, just to always look at the next play and just to be aggressive and just play hard. I mean, you know, like I said, not everyone's going to do the right thing all the time. But, you know, just working hard, you'll find those plays. You'll score. You'll get defensive stops. So, but Samaje has really stepped up So.
Kate, you talked about how important it was for this team to have the experience they did against top 3 teams this weekend. How important was it for you individually to get that type of experience against, an Oregon State team?
Just being a sophomore, I haven't had that many experiences, and, having 2 more years ahead of me, and kind of, just learning that for the newcomers in years to come where, they won't have the experience, and just knowing that you can be the one to give them that experience, but also to be calm in experiences like that where you don't feel nervous or, you just look composed. So I think that's really important to be able to gain experience early so that you can, use it in your further, endeavors.
The crowd's obviously much larger this year than in past years. Can you talk about what that's like for the players, especially when it gets, crunch time towards the end of the game?
It's honestly, it's such a big difference, and I'm so thankful for all the fans, that come out to support us, and just people being excited again for women's basketball is a great feeling that, we kind of started that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come to the University of Arizona, is because of the reason that, things weren't as good before. And to be able to, build the foundation for fans to be coming out, 7,000, 8,000 fans to come out for a game is amazing. And, I hope we can bring in more fans. So, it really helped. It's an advantage to be playing at home when you have 7,000 fans out there, especially when, Oregon State hasn't really had an away game this season, and coming to a place where we have so many fans is kind of difficult to play in front of. So, just being able to draw crowds like that consistently will be really helpful for us. More fans out there than what they are, so it's really good to see that. Thank you.
All these cell phones. This society. God, look at us. We can't live without our cell phones.
Questions for Coach Barnes?
Coach, you talked in earlier conferences about protecting your home and getting splits on the road as the key to success in the conference. Is this a trip that you put a little bit more importance on, that you want to maybe get one back for losing the 2 at home?
Yeah, for sure. So you always want to take care of home. And, it's a tall order when you have number 2 and number 3. I think they dropped slightly in the polls, but those 2 teams are tough. Yeah, you have to win. You have to beat the teams you're supposed to. And if you can get splits on the road sometimes, but you need to beat the teams you're supposed to. So the Washington trip is tough. Washington State is really tough because it's just a hard trip going to Pullman. It's freezing. We're used to the sunshine here in Arizona. It's just it's not easy. They play really well at home. They have 2 really, really good guards. And then at Washington, obviously Arie transferred from Washington, so that's always a battle. But yeah, we've lost 3 games in a row. So we want to get back on track and just get back to winning. But the positive about it is we've lost to, at the time, 8, 2, and 3. So when you're losing to those teams, you're kind of supposed to lose to those teams, but I think the hard thing for me is that we had so many chances to win if we would have played a little bit smarter and at different times. She's doing good. Just a little bit tender still, but it's just a minor sprain. So she's walking around, but I mean, we'll have her this weekend, but we're not like pushing her or having her run stadiums or anything, but she's getting better.
He was mentioning Washington State, you guys have a lot of back cuts. How do you kind of prepare for that?
Well, so we don't we don't particularly just prepare for all those little things every game. So we have a foundation, and we have like principles of our defense. So we guard a back cut certain ways. We guard a cross screen certain ways. There are some scout specific changes, like when you're guarding a Sabrina, it's really hard, so you got to change things. But we have just the fundamentals and the foundation of our defense. So we just do what we do, and I think that's what's made us more successful. Now, Kate's remembering the back cuts last year because it happened like 10 times, and we played awful, and credit to them, they kicked our butts last year. So, and Jackie was on staff there at the time, and it was probably her scout, so she was happy. But we have to go there and take care of business. But they're a good team.
You were talking about Aerie transferring. I mean, now that she's been here for, well, a season and a half at least, what can you just kind of say about her impact on the program?
Well, yeah, I mean, her impact is huge. She would have impacted Washington the same way. But, she still has friends that she was playing with at the time, so it's always more an emotional place. But she's helped us change this program. She's been the catalyst for all that. She's been kind of the avalanche that started all of our other recruiting. She's such a gifted player, and I don't think players like her come around that often. So, I mean, I told her during that process when she put herself in the portal, or not in the portal, but she was, because the portal wasn't available then, but she was transferring, it was like, come here and build something special with me. And she's done that, and she's done a tremendous job.
She okay? She looked like she was getting hammered.
She was getting hammered, but Aerie's not afraid. Aerie's on the floor a lot, so she plays hard. Like after games, she's pretty beat up. But that's who she is, and that's what I love about her. She's not afraid. She'll go and she'll guard a post. She'll dive for balls, and great players don't usually do that.
Do you see that same kind of tenacity starting to rub off on some of the other players, that they're willing to hit the floor?
Yeah, I think because she's like ignites all that. Yeah, for sure. I think that her toughness and just her defensive pressure makes other people want to pressure more, because you're not going to be sitting there back in the gap and then Aerie's like pressing full court. You can't, because she'll be like, what the heck? So yeah, I think it does. But we need to keep on adding that. That's a cultural thing, and we keep on adding that. And that's one area that we really miss TT. TT was next to Aerie. They were both like that. They were both tough and really strong minds and resilient. So we do miss TT a lot because of that.
And before last season, you were saying how Aerie would change just how you guys basically do everything. So, I mean, defensively, how important has she been to having what you did have, the number one scoring?
Really, really important. Aerie just changes a lot of things. She's one of the best rebounders of her size in the country. She gets in there amongst the trees. That's why I let her offensive rebound a lot. And I also do that because then she's right there and she stops the ball. So it's really hard for teams to play against. If we didn't have a fast point guard, we probably wouldn't be able to do a lot of presses we do. So I'm someone who I'm going to change with the personnel we have. Now, obviously, because I like the style we're playing, so now I'm trying to recruit players with her athleticism. I don't know if I'll find another area, but I'm looking. So that's what we try to do to kind of keep that. But if we got a great point guard that wasn't like Aerie, we just probably would step back and wouldn't press as much. But she changes everything. And that's why she's so special, because there aren't a lot of players in the country that can change offense and defense. So she's able to affect both ends of the floor, and I think that's rare.
And, how have you noticed kind of her development as a leader, maybe still being a leader by example, but also being more vocal on that?
So, well, I don't really believe in leadership by example. I don't think that's a leader. I think that you're not a leader if you're just showing by example, because leadership, you have to get people to follow you. And if you don't say anything, they don't follow you. So she's gotten better in every way, more consistent in practice, bringing it every day, like bringing the level up. Her and Shayna go at it every day. It's awesome to watch. They go at it, they battle. And then I think just she's learned how to be more comfortable in her space, and the team respects her. So she may not say a ton, but when she talks, like, you listen. So I think she's grown in that. Before, she probably wouldn't talk. Not a lot, like on a command on the floor. And now she does that, but I think that's a growth as a point guard. But she has that now. So that's one of the reasons why we're better.
What kind of goals do you have for her for the rest of this season and then next year if she's back?
Like we want to win. She's here. You never know. change, like college basketball, you never know what happens next year. You don't know. Kids can transfer. Kids, you know, they're mad at you one day, or they love you one day. They don't like you the next day because they don't play enough, and no one plays enough. So we want to do everything we can to be successful. I think we have a chance to do some special things. I think we have a chance to get some big upsets. I think we have a really good chance of going to the tournament. So, like, she wants to do that, and I want this team to accomplish that. And she plays so hard. We want everybody to play as hard as her. And, you know, and Kate does that too. I think it's been showing in our big games. But I want her to just accomplish everything she can. I think for us, the more awards she gets, it's better for our program. It's just good, all the recognition. This helps Arizona women's basketball. And then when it's a great kid like Ari, who's also great off the court, who had like a 3.0, this, you know, great grades right now. That wasn't a secret. She's already announced that. But when you have all those things and you have a total package kid, it's like, I want to promote that, because that's what this program is about. And we don't only have good players, we have good people, and she's one of those kids. So I want her to get everything she can.
Have you heard from the other coaches or positively, like kind of a wow factor of the play this year with your team compared to last year now that you've got a couple of conference games now?
We haven't really talked about that a lot. Jackie's familiar just because she was at Washington State and we played each other, but we don't really talk about that. I think that everybody talks about the WNIT just because of the crowd and how we were able to win against some good teams, but it's not really something we talk about. I think they just, well, what I hear a lot, it's interesting. What I hear a lot from coaches that come into the program is just about how it's ran in the kids. Like, I have a lot of people that say, let's say they're new, touching our program in some way, like, wow, you know, these kids actually get along, they're good kids. So I guess most places not like that. So I'm interested to hear that, because sometimes I wouldn't think that about other places. So like, sometimes I'm like, well, it's not perfect. But like I step back and I'm like, wow, it is different. We do have good kids, like they're good people, but that's been hard work. That's taken a while. So I take pride in that, but I think it's normal that we're better because we had everybody basically returning and we added some good pieces. So I think that was kind of to be expected, I hope.
And, you know, with this new WNBA, CBA that's going to go into effect, as a former player, a coach, and a woman, what do you think about it?
I think it's huge. You know, I wish I was playing at that time. That would have been a lot better. I think that for me, and this isn't private, I don't really care, but so when I was drafted in 1998, I had a 10th to 12th place salary in a WNBA, and I made $39,500. So for me at the time, I was like, I'm rich, I got a lot of money, but like I was coming from college. That was like a lot for a summer job. So, and that was just as a rookie. And then I think as a vet, I think I was at like 55. But that was a summer job. So to me, I thought that was a really good summer job. I think the challenge was you kind of have to play overseas because you stay in shape. Otherwise, you're paying trainers here. So we all went overseas and made a lot more money. So what I love about the model is you don't have to go to Europe for 9 months. Because what's happening now is people were investing more in like Diana, you know, Mariah Moore, all those players. You had to go overseas to make the money, but then you came back injured for the WNBA a lot, or you retired and you made like $1 million overseas, or $700,000 cash, tax-free, or minimal taxes. You pay like Social Security, and then you come back and like you sit out of the WNBA. So that was hurting our game. So I think now you don't have to go overseas. You can stay and you can make $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in the off season. So it can be your job. And I like that because a lot of the WNBA lost a lot of good players. Remember at the time, Becky Hammond stayed, played for the Russian national team. So there was a lot of that. So I'm just happy. I don't know how I haven't looked into it enough to know how the money is coming in, but I think that like the top woman shouldn't make $110,000 compared to the top guy who makes like 100-something million. There also is like support and people are going to NBA games where I get all that, but just a huge discrepancy is hard. When you see like the best soccer player in the world, like Megan Rapinoe, let's say, and then you see like Kobe, like they're both some of the best in their field, but then Kobe will never have to work another day in his life. She's gonna have to work. So I think those things, as a woman and a pro athlete, and that's a hard job. It's a great job, but it's like, it's competitive, it's not easy. So I'm glad that they can make a living out of it where they can kind of set themselves up for the future. So I think.
Is that they got with
Maternity leave.
For maternity leave and.
I mean, we're women, we have babies. So I think that should be. I didn't even realize, because at the time when I was playing, I wasn't thinking about having a kid. So I didn't even think about that. And I don't know how the players, I've had friends that have played up to 4 months pregnant. And like, because it's okay to play when you're that early. And then they like have a baby and go back. I don't know how they do it. Like Tina Thompson did it when I was playing. Estu Njai did it. She had triplets. Helen Darling had triplets. That's very hard. I don't think I would have been able to do it, but I think there needs to be a plan in place because we're women, and that's around the time where you want to have kids. So I think it's really good. I like also the incentives for marketing. Like I think at the time when I was doing some marketing, I was maybe getting like 4,000 or 5,000 a month, let's say, and that was like a little package. Now they can make 200,000-300,000. I think that's huge. I think it's going to keep a lot more people home. I think it's good for the game.
Any other questions for Coach? All right, thanks, Coach.
Cool,
Thanks,
thanks.
Coach.
Yeah.
Question whenever you're ready. When you went and look back at the second half of the Oregon State game, what jumped out to you?
Well, number one, you enter conference play. There's great familiarity between coaches and programs and teams. Keeping in mind that a lot of teams return starters and players, and they've played against Pac-12 teams. They've gone through multiple Pac-12 seasons, and it's just really hard to win. It's not easy, and if you've been in the winner's circle like our basketball program has for a long, long time, sometimes you can take your eyes off of how difficult it is to do it over again and again, and in particular on the road. I thought that we played with a lot of energy. We were prepared. We were very organized, and we played at a high enough level to beat Oregon. And Oregon, I believe, is one of not only our conference's best teams, but I think one of the best teams in the country. And that didn't work out. I thought our guys did a really good job of bouncing back from that, just being in our meetings, the preparation for Oregon State. We had a really, I thought, as good of a practice as you can have. Those long trips are difficult for the road team. But when we played against Oregon State, even the first 30 minutes of the game, maybe 32, in which it was just a hard-fought, single-possession game. You really didn't know who was going to win. The score was tied at 31 at the half, and it really it went that way for a significant portion of the second half. But they eventually wore us down, and our ability to defend the man in front and keep them from getting key second shots, guarding their best players, but also guarding a couple of their starters who are more role players. Well, we really, really struggled. In the first half of the Oregon State game, Oregon State was 6 for 16 from 2. And if you follow our defense, that's something that this year we've done a good job of, making it hard to score against our defense inside the three-point line. The same team in the second half, Oregon State, was an ungodly 13 for 16 from 2. It's very difficult if there's no defense to make 13 of 16 shots inside the arc, but you add 5-on-5 defense, and I think that was really the story of the game. There are times when we attacked their zone well, and the result may not have been to our benefit. In other words, we created a good shot and missed it. There are times when maybe we could have done a better job, but if you look at the reason that you lose that game, it's tough to win on the road in a conference when the team you're playing, scores 13 of 16 from 2 in the second half. And Trace Tinkle is an excellent player. I think Ethan Thompson is not only a very good player but much improved. And Oregon State is an older physical team, and they wore our group down.
Is it harder to win or when you're relying so much on the freshmen to make plays? You're the 3 freshmen rather than some of the seniors that aren't capable of carrying the team right now?
Our 3 freshmen have done a really, really good job. They're all having very good seasons. Sometimes you forget a year ago they would have been in high school. And, it's one thing to start in a basketball program as a freshman, but not only have they been our starters, but, they play the most minutes, they take the most shots, they have the most responsibility. And those guys, I think, in some ways are learning and doing the best they can. The one of the 3, Zeke, if you just, see it for what it is right now, his statistics as a player are very, very consistent. If you look at our last 5 games in which we're 1-4, his stat line is very good. As a matter of fact, we've really challenged our entire team to be better rebounding the ball, both individually and just making that a point of emphasis to improve. Zeke has done that. In the last 5 games, he's over double-figure rebounds. I believe he's second or third, depending on, total rebounds in the Pac-12 versus maybe just defensive rebounds. He's certainly, I think, emerged as one of the top 5 rebounders in the conference. If you look back at maybe 6 or 7 games into our season, although he was playing very well, his rebounds per game were maybe less than 7. He had a few games where he really did it, and then a few games maybe where he didn't. But, right now he's averaging 16 and 10, 16 and 11. If you look at our losses, our 5 losses, and you look at his stats in those 5 losses, very consistent. And if you look at our 11 wins, very consistent. And I think that's really, to Zeke's credit. It's difficult to impact the game as a freshman, but right now his rebounding is skyrocketing, and I think he's playing really good basketball. He gets fouled a lot. He's shooting a good percentage from the line. And in the last 5 games, you can look this up, but I don't know if he has 5 turnovers as well. And for a young big guy who is playing against different defenses, that's a statistic that's really impressive as well. So we're also challenging him to be able to defend perimeter players, big guys, and that takes a little bit more time. But, I think it's worth pointing him out because of how impressive he's been through the first 16 games of his year here at Arizona.
The other guys other than Zeke, what do you see as lacking rebounding-wise? I mean, is it effort, is it matchups, or being in the wrong place? Or anything?
It's really up to me and our staff to bring it out in our group. We did a really good job defensive rebounding against Arizona State, and there's a real connection there because our best offense at times is really when we get out in transition. And the way you get out in transition is to create misses and deflections and turnovers, block shots, steals, and that leads to a fast push. And, when we're out in the open court, a lot of good things have happened for our team. But, when you don't get that same defensive rebound, it not only hurts your defense, but it really also, in our case, hurts maybe our best offense. We haven't really experienced a lot of improvement with any of the other 9 players that have played in the game rebounding. Each of them may have had their moments, but it's on us to bring it out. I know I've used this analogy before, but if you have a weak defensive line in football, or maybe you get some injuries on the offensive line, to the spectators, you're still watching the game, but to the coaches and the players that are on the field, you start to feel that wearing down effect, and it's difficult. You can be doing some really good things, but if the offensive or defensive line isn't intact, man, it makes it hard to win, especially I'm sure on the road in football, or consistently over a long period of time. You might be able to get away with it in a single game, and that's really our situation rebounding the ball. We got to block out. We've had some guys here in our program that play different positions. Kadeem Allen, TJ, that have had big defensive rebounding games, and they've bolstered a win. But we haven't been able to establish that. And if you look at that one statistic, it's certainly revealing towards us. But we're the group of coaches that have put this team together, and we've recruited these guys, and it's up to us to coach them and motivate them and hold them accountable and make them better in an area that is really important for us to have a chance to win.
On the other hand, you've got Ira, who's a pretty good percentage rebounder, not playing as much. I mean, are there other things lacking otherwise in his game, or you can't justify having him on the floor?
We're looking to put him in a little bit more and give him a bigger opportunity. Ira is one of our team's hardest workers, and his attitude is tremendous. And I thought at Oregon he really did a good job. In the minutes that he played, he was a positive contributor for sure.
What about is there any concern? I know you stayed focused, but just with the guys, like you said, you're 1-4 in the last 5, 2-5 or whatever, and 7. That pressure maybe affects guys. How do you deal with that? When maybe people who don't realize, you've been on the road and played some pretty good teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, when you sign up to play at Arizona, part of the lure is to be able to play in front of our amazing crowd and the biggest and brightest stage that you can have in college basketball. And, with that, there's high expectations on our players and our coaching staff and on me, and deservedly so. It's very few programs have the support that we have. The long-standing tradition of success goes beyond 30 years at this point. And, I think we've talked about this as far back as a couple weeks ago as, the next game, a big game or a must-win game. And the answer to that question is yes. Every game that we play, it's there's pressure, and that's part of why you want to come to Arizona, to be a part of that pressure. It brings out the best in talented young players and talented teams and coaches. So I think embracing that is really what we try to do. But, losing is not the answer, and people are held accountable when you lose, and I'm held accountable when we lose. And right now, that's what we're doing. So, it's up to us to bounce back here. We have back-to-back home games, and, against two teams that are very good, and we have to play well. And I think that's the one thing. You always learn your room for error as a coach with the team that you have. There are times when, we didn't make shots, and, God, our offense wasn't really good, but we still found a way to win because, our defense was fantastic, and we dominated the glass, and we made big plays down the stretch. Those things happen during the long course of a season. Right now, this year's team, we have to play really well. We have to play well on defense. We have to play well on offense. Our contributions with our non-starters, guys who don't start the game, our bench, being able to come in the game and make a positive impact. It's important that we get that, because I don't look at it as us having any room for error. If we don't play well, it's tough for us.
Does the weekend take on any more importance, knowing you don't have to make that mountain trip this year, and that if you can take care of business, maybe you have an edge in the standings and so forth?
I don't think our focus is really on the standings as much as just getting a win, being able to win a Pac-12 game. And it's something that hasn't been easy for us, and we have to get that right and bounce back. Conversely, we've played against some great teams in this country. There's no doubt about it. You look at what Baylor is doing. You look at Gonzaga. You can make the argument that those two teams have a chance to be 1 seeds in this year's NCAA tournament. And, there are times when we've played really well in those games where we had an opportunity to win. We played winning basketball. But in those same games, you have to finish it. Sustained effort, sustained concentration and execution. And, it's something that our team is my hope, improving on and learning as we move through our games.
When it comes to Koloko's minutes, is there a number that you have in mind, or is it just kind of how the game flows?
We're trying to get him a little bit more than he's playing. As you know, he plays every game now, and he's in our rotation. And when Christian has come in the game, he's done a lot of good things, giving him more quality minutes, even if it's 4. That might not seem like a lot, but, if your starting point is 8, you give him an additional 2 to 4. Playing 10 or 12 is a big difference between playing 6 to 8. And he gets more of an opportunity to get comfortable and impact the game. So we're looking hard at that for sure. But Christian, I would say, is also a bright spot, where he started. And you guys have seen him come in the game, even in our non-conference opportunities that we gave him. And he's done a really good job.
You mentioned the other day you weren't that zone that you sprinkled out was tough to do in a situation on the road where you're losing. I mean, is it something you guys worked on all this week, and possibly to have a little more ready if you need to?
Yeah, no, we work on it all the time. As I've said, I think we'll show it at some point in every game, and we have. But I also want to make sure that you understand that 13 of 16 from the field, 2 for 2 came against our zone. We got driven by Reichel on the left wing with 3 seconds to go on the shot clock. He took the ball hard to the basket and got fouled. And then Trace Tinkle caught the ball in the middle of the zone late, turned and faced and threw a high-low pass, and they dunked the ball over the side of the rim. You have those same concerns regardless of what defense you play. When the shot goes up, are you going to rebound? Can you keep players in front? And against virtually every team, but certainly in the games we've struggled, our defensive rebounding and at times just our inability to keep people in front of us. That's something that we're hard at work, and we're trying to improve, and we have to improve that this weekend for sure.
I think you were asked this after the Oregon game, but do you expect to make any lineup changes in the starting rotation to maybe get a spark? Anything like that?
No, I think so. One of the things we look at closely is just the start of each half. And, that's the telltale sign in many ways, because you're not evaluating just one player. You're evaluating the group that you believe gives yourself the best chance to win, right? That's why you start those 5. And, we got off to a slow start against Oregon State. We got off to a good start against Oregon, got off to a very good start against Arizona State. That really hasn't been an issue. I would say that just rebounding in general, I've given you an example of one player, and certainly the one player that I mentioned, Zeke, has a lot of ability, and he has a lot of ability rebounding. I believe he can rebound even better. But when you're averaging over 10 rebounds a game, and you're in game 16, and you're one of the top 5 rebounders in the Pac-12, you're doing a heck of a job. He's had as many as 8 against Gonzaga, but that same challenge, it's not as if we stop with him. We have guards who can rebound better. Certainly, if I'm walking in the door 6'8", 6'10", being able to get the ball off the glass and rebound it, I'd say that there's nothing more important as a responsibility to do that. Same thing with free throw blockouts. Free throw blockouts is, it's kind of our version of special teams. It's something you can really control. The other team is shooting a free throw, and we elect to double pinch on both sides. One of the guys on the outside has to get the shooter, but we've struggled at times to get all 4 guys in the lane to take that part serious, to be able to step across, I'm at the end of that, if at the end of the game, if a guy isn't able to block out on the free throw line, do you want to trade him to another Pac-12 team? Of course, but you're not able to do that. You can't cut them. You can't. You just have to kind of look and say, look, we just need you to do a better job of doing what we're asking you to do. I know it's not fun. I know there's not going to be an article written after the game about your free throw blockout. But if you don't mind, we really appreciate if you could put your hands up and step across that guy so he doesn't get the ball if they miss it. And, there's a lot of that going on as well. And but we're hard at work and, trying to hold everybody accountable. And that's really, I believe, what this weekend is. This will be a revealing weekend in many ways, just to see how we rebound, how we perform, how we're able to bounce back off of the Oregon swing. And, I talked a little bit about, coming back off the holidays, about just trying to teach our players, the value of being a great competitor. Being a great competitor, it's like those plays within a game that you just marvel at, you just really appreciate, a guy like Kevin Parham running down, a breakaway to block a shot off the glass, a guy to rotate across the lane and give up his body and draw a charge, to chase a really good player off of a screen like Trace Tinkle so that when he receives the pass that he's not open, scouting, balls taken underneath their basket. And these are the 4 or 5 concepts that they really try to utilize to get the ball in and to get a good shot. And can we take those concepts away? And are you locked in, or are you the guy that is going to break down and let his man receive the pass? So, those are the competitive things that we're talking a lot about. Obviously, rebounding is a big deal. The 50-50 balls, loose balls, You know, those balls that hit the rim a couple times, and you just run in and you go grab it with two hands. You know, that only counts for one rebound on the stat sheet. But if you're playing for us right now, man, that's an incredibly valuable play because, you know, that's something that may allow us to out-rebound our opponent. And you guys have the stats as well as I do. When we out-rebound our opponent, we're really a hard team to beat.
So you said you are thinking you might change the lineup or possibly the rotation when you got.
Yeah, I don't think we're there. There is a possibility, and you know, it's a possibility all the time. You know, you want to keep everybody ready to go. There isn't a big difference between some of the guys who don't start the game and maybe a few that do. We try to give the starting nod to those that deserve it, that give us the best chance. And, you know, sometimes it's a matter of circumstances. You know, you could have a front court player who might be your overall 6th or 5th best player, maybe 4th, but, you know, you can't start 3 big guys, right, or vice versa. So, but we're always looking at it, and the other thing is, you know, we've played 10 players, and usually when you play a deep bench like that, I don't know other than maybe Derek Williams' year if we've ever gone that deep on the bench. But, you know, you want to get value out of that. You want to get, you know, if nothing else, you get that sustained great effort because you're playing 10. When that sustained great effort isn't in place, then sometimes it makes sense to play 9 or even, you know, 8. Or give those guys a little bit more of an opportunity. But we're not there yet. I don't think it's about, you know, benching anybody or just changing the lineup. It's a matter of us playing better as a team.
Coach, it's just for a feature I'm working on. What do you remember about Pace Manning as a player, and what does it mean for Nico to have a father with that kind of playing experience in his corner?
Well, I know Pace was a great player. If you're a pro like he was, that speaks to everything, you know. But I think he was hard-nosed and, you know, loved the game. But, you know, to have somebody who's been there and done that, it always benefits their son, for sure.
Just your thoughts on Utah and Timmy Allen? I'm wondering how he's able to get to the line as much as he has. And what else?
Yeah, Timmy Allen is one of our conference's best players. I really felt that last year he was one of our conference's best players. You know, he really has a unique skill set of scoring close to the basket, even though he's, you know, a wing player. He's incredibly skilled and crafted. And, you know, when you watch a wing player score around the rim, you know, there's always that ceiling maybe that, well, you know, he'll score that way against this type of team. But when the athletic big teams come to town, maybe his production won't be as good. And that's never been the case with him. He just plays his style and his game regardless of who the opponent is. And that's going to be a really, really difficult matchup. You know, going into the game, we tried our very best to do a good job on Trace Tinkle. We had no answer for him. You know, Trace had, I think, 20 points, 7 assists, only 1 turnover, 6 defensive rebounds, and just got to the foul line. And he played against us like he plays in every game. I think Timmy Allen is that same tough task where do we have anybody physically able to defend him? And that'll be a big difference in the game between us winning or losing.
What else strikes you about there? A lot of transition with them as well as you guys. They have this year. What do you think?
Yeah, you know, Booth Gotch is, I think, one of our conference's best players. He can really get it going from 3. He's also very clever using the middle ball screens. He makes other people better. I love their freshman point guard. He's very, very smart. He can shoot the basketball, and he makes his teammates better. You know, they have some young big guys, very similar to how we feel about Christian Coloco. I'm sure Utah feels that way about their 3 freshman bigs. And they're a very well-coached team, as always. They beat Kentucky. They've had some great moments. And, you know, I think the best is yet to come for them because they're so young. And you could tell they're building something special with that freshman class because those guys are going to grow and get older together. And I think at some point, you know, when they're veterans, they're going to be an excellent basketball team. They're a very good team right now.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
What's up, everyone? How are you?
So how's it been, like, being back with the team and actually playing competitive basketball?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's an injury that, especially like at this point in my career, you don't want to have, and like miss that time. But I think the coaching staff and everybody, they were really supportive, and I got back pretty quick, and I'm 100% now, and just back in action, ready to go.
Knowing that it's your last year, how much was it bothering you that you weren't able to play?
I mean, it was really frustrating. I'm a pretty big competitor, and obviously I want to be out there for every single game, and I came here to make the most of my last year, and you can't really do much when you're sitting in a dark room recovering from a concussion. So I'm just glad that that's behind me, and now I'm back to full health and full strength.
Could you run us through a little bit? This is the first time I had a chance to talk to you since it happened. Could you run us through a little bit about what you had to go through? Because you weren't able to go out even for out here for a couple of games, right?
Yeah. So.
Did you literally have to stay at home and keep the lights out, or what was it like?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that dramatic of like keeping the lights out and everything. But definitely after the injury, my eye swelled up pretty significantly, and I was experiencing concussion symptoms. You feel really, really foggy, and you just kind of feel out of it. It's a weird feeling. It's my second concussion, and I was trying to just push through, but it's one of those things that you can't really push through. It's not like a sprained ankle. You kind of just have to give your body time and just wait until the symptoms died down. But we did a lot of stuff. Now there's some like training you can do to try to recover from concussions quicker. And so I did a lot of that with Justin and then another trainer of ours, Todd, and I think that helped improve myself as well.
What do you remember about the moment when it happened?
I remember I got smacked pretty hard and I got a turnover. Yeah, and there was no call. And that was about it. And then I just kind of tried to shake it off and ran back on defense. You get hit all the time, as a big especially. And so I, figured it was just like one of those moments. But then after the game, you kind of like feel it more as time goes on, and especially the next day. It was rough.
Greg, kind of ironic, it was against a team you probably played before a bunch of times, and also on a play where it seemed like you had the guy kind of faked out, right?
Yeah. No, it was just an unfortunate series of events. Playing Penn, it's obviously a game. I played them before. You want to come out and play well and do well, and to have something like that happen. I think it was like the first minute or so I was even in the game. It's just really unfortunate, but it's sports. There's not a whole lot you can do.
How do you think you've played since you returned, and I guess what are you hoping to do better moving forward?
Yeah, I think kind of returning a couple weeks ago, going into ASU, is just kind of like getting my legs back. Getting the feel for everything. Right now, I'm really back to 100% and feeling really great out there. So I'm just trying to take advantage of mismatches on the floor. Rebounding is a huge key for us, and shot selection. So hopefully, when I get in there, if I'm not going to get the rebound, smack my guy a little bit and clear out some space for other people to get the rebound, and prevent my guy from rebounding the ball, and then also shooting the ball really well and being a great threat from there, from three. Because of the way that I shoot the ball and staying aggressive, it opens a lot inside, for a monster like Zeke.
Has it been difficult in the back of your mind anyway to kind of keep that aggression when you just have that collision and, like you said, you get bumped all the time? I don't know. Do you find yourself thinking about it at all, I guess, or?
Not really. I mean, I think the biggest thing is I got really lucky, you know, right around the time, like, I was finally healthy again. It was like right after that St. John's game. So I really had 2 weeks to, you know, kind of get back to full strength. You know, it's not like we were playing a game the day after I was cleared. So that really enabled me to kind of like, you know, play around and get used to like being physical and getting contact and getting hit. And so, you know, now I feel really good, and you know, it's not a worry, and I don't think it shows on the court that I'm playing timid or anything. You know, I think I'm a physical player, and I think I'm doing what I do best.
So you mentioned you had another concussion. Is this one similar? Is it worse? How would you compare it?
I think it was pretty comparable, pretty similar. It happened a few years ago, so it's not like this one was any worse. Pretty similar overall, I would say.
Game at Cornell, or
That was during the summer, I think after my freshman year, I want to say. So, you know, like 3-4 years ago.
in a workout, or?
Yeah, it was just in a workout. Yeah.
What has Zeke done to get a lot better on the glass these last few games?
I think, I mean, it's for him. I mean, he's got the physical and athletic tools, you know, so it's just, you know, a part of it is the ball bouncing the right way. You know, part of it is getting the opportunity, you know. If we don't play well on defense and they're making their shots, there's obviously less rebounds to grab. So part of it is that, and then also it's just like a mindset thing. You know, I think he's really picked it up, as Coach mentioned before, you know, the past few games, and he's been doing a great job.
What was your Netflix show of choice during the early part of your recovery?
I've been a big fan of You and Messiah. Those are my two right now. Although now they're done, so I need another one if you have any suggestions.
I mean, what did you do with all that time? I mean, because for a while, could you not even do conditioning stuff? Or?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's the tough part. You're really just sitting around, and it's like one of the things that I'll do is like I'll read out here, but you can't really read. You know, my teachers were great, you know, and kind of gave me some extensions to finish up my coursework because it was right around finals time. But it's like even watching TV, you know, I had to turn it off in the early part, like after a little bit, just because it kind of gets it's a weird feeling. I don't know if any of you have had a concussion before, but it's just it's a weird feeling, and you kind of just have to go based on your body. Yeah.
So what do you are you taking a similar load, by the way, this spring, starting up today, or?
Not really. So I did a good job, and probably it was a little bit too ambitious, but I front loaded most of my coursework. I want to say I took like 33 or 36 units between the spring, summer, and fall. And so right now I'm only in one class, and it doesn't even start up until March. Yeah, so it's smooth sailing.
2 classes a semester, or is it just average over the year?
I think it's 3 classes, but because of the degree that I'm doing, all you have to do your last semester is like enough to finish your degree. And so I'm 1 class away from finishing my degree, so that's all I have to take.
So is there anything now that you're healthy you can do with that extra time, either in basketball or with the rest of your life, just to, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, with basketball, you know, that's obviously the focus. You know, I've been putting in extra workouts with Coach Murph. You know, we get in the gym every morning. And then, you know, I've been watching a lot of film, especially now in league play. Everything's a lot tighter and the films are more intensive. So, you know, I'll watch, you know, the previous game of the team we're playing. So, like Utah, you know, I'll watch the last game and then, you know, focus up on my matchup specifically. And then besides that, you know, like I said, I've been trying to read a little bit more. I follow the stock market. You know, I've been working with this hedge fund manager that I worked for a couple summers ago, doing a little bit of work for him on the side as well, just in my free time.
Because, you know, I mean, outside of basketball, you know, you want to, I mean, did you like that internship and maybe want to go somewhere in that direction professionally at some point?
Yeah, I think long term, you know, I could see myself in finance. You know, that's why I did the accounting master's here to kind of, you know, give me a little bit more of an edge when analyzing financial statements. I think it's too early to kind of, you know, just jump the gun and say that that's what I'm going to be doing. You know, I want to play professionally after this year. given the right opportunity. And, you know, obviously I need to pick it up a little bit to have those opportunities. But I think long term, you know, something in that or wealth management is kind of where I see myself.
Do you, you know, what do you think? I don't know how much you guys have had a chance to study Utah yet, but I was just kind of curious what you thought, and especially in light of you're talking about rebounding, and I know Coach Miller's talked a lot about how important that's been. You know, what kind of challenges you think you have with these guys?
Yeah, you know, they're a good team. They're a young team. And, you know, it's part of the thing about being Arizona. Every single time you go out, you know, you're going to get everybody's best shot. They're obviously capable of playing really well, as shown by when they beat Kentucky, you know. But like any other team, including ourselves, you know, they've also had games where they haven't played up to their potential. But they have some great players, and they're going to be a challenging matchup for us. But I think we're doing everything right now, and we're going to be well prepared for them and ready to get back on track.
You know, you guys have played, what, 3 top 10 teams and on the road, et cetera. It's not been easy, but big picture-wise, you know, you have lost 5 to 7. Do you hear anything? I mean, that people are concerned? Do you guys hear any of that, or is that anything that?
Honestly, like, we try to keep ourselves pretty insulated. You know, obviously those games that we've lost on the road, you know, against Baylor, the game against Gonzaga, the game against Oregon, you know, they're all really close games, and, you know, could have gone either way with, you know, a certain play, you know, if we can get one 50-50 ball or whatever, which, you know, gives us confidence that we're capable of beating anyone. But I think it's also, you know, with the team that we have, you know, our freshmen are doing a great job, and they're just going to continue to improve. You know, I don't think anybody would say that Zeke was playing better, you know, in October than he is right now. And, you know, give him another month, I think we're just going to be even better, and the chemistry is just continuing to build. So yeah, I think we're doing a good job with that, and, you know, there's not a lot of, we try to just, you know, keep it to ourselves.
Well, and was there anything specific you kind of get out of a weekend like that where you played really well against Oregon and, you know, a tougher team, and then Oregon State, you know, I don't know if it was matchups or whatever, just a different deal a couple days later, anything you get out of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you know, certain things that you take away something from every game. The Oregon game, you know, there were a lot of 50-50 balls that didn't go our way. You know, that was a lot of the emphasis. The Oregon State game, you know, they just kind of wore us down a little bit. So I think, you know, the takeaways are, you know, we just have to play together a little bit more and take better shots. Kind of like what I said in the first part of the interview, you know, focusing on shot selection and rebounding. I think if we can kind of hone in on those two things, it'll do us wonders. It's not really one of those things where you have to, I mean, everybody's obviously going to nitpick, you know, at every single play, but in general, you know, you want to keep it simple. You know, I think if we focus on rebounding and shot selection and just playing hard and playing together, we'll be all right.
There's one more thing I'm just curious, like, personally for you, what, you know, as the season's gone on now, and Coach has talked a lot about wanting you to play more and liking what you do, but it is a different deal than you had last, you know, at Cornell, where you were more of a go-to guy. I mean, how has that adjustment gone as the season's gone on for you?
Yeah, you know, it's definitely an adjustment, but, you know, I've been here for a year now, and I, you know, left Cornell kind of knowing that I wasn't going to have the same role. You know, I came here to play on a bigger stage, to give myself a better opportunity to play professionally and to win some basketball games, you know, and experience what it's like at a high major program. And, you know, every transition is going to have its challenges, but, I mean, the only thing I can do is kind of just hang in there and just wait for my opportunity and do the most to take advantage of my opportunity when my number's called.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.